Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Nancy, Bohemian Stitchery, and welcome back. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has commented on my videos or watched them. You've been so encouraging and you've given me lots of advice and help, and it's really made me feel like this is all worthwhile doing. It's made me get excited about my stitching again. So I want to say thank you to everybody and to everybody who's subscribed. I'm still amazed. There are so many good YouTubers out there, FlossTubers out there, that I'm really touched that you want to subscribe and watch further with my stitching adventures. I know I've been going down the rabbit hole of FlossTube, and for every FlossTuber I think, yeah, I really like them, I want to watch all their videos, then I go and find another one and add them to my subscription lists. So there's never any end to it, and that's great. So I thought what I'd do today is I'm going to continue with my WIP Parade. Now, what I've done today is I've managed to gather together, I think 20 WIPs, maybe it's 21, I don't know. This is not all of them, it's not all of them. I know that what I've done is I've separated out my sampler WIPs, and I'll do those in another video. So these are sort of all my other ones, if you want to call it that. It's been a really fun exercise pulling them out, especially seeing some of them are quite old. So without any further ado, I think I'll get on with that, and yeah, we'll see if we can get through these in some kind of reasonable time. Okay, so my first WIP is, let me put my glasses on, is my oldest WIP. Now this one is, I think I started it in 1998. So we're going back 25 years now. That's how this one is. I did quite a lot on it, but I stopped, and I'll show it to you first. So there you are. It's called Old Smokey, and it's charted by Excalibur Counted Cross Stitch Design, and it's a design by Carousel based on the original artwork of Kimberly Smith. Now, I did buy this pattern in about 1997, so whether it's available or not still is anybody's guess. I bought it in the UK. Now, I think the reason I stopped is I stitched it for, let's just say I stitched it for somebody who's not in my life anymore, and that's probably a good thing. So needless to say, I put it down and I haven't picked it up since. However, looking at it, I've actually done lots on it. Now I'm going to try and put this on a board just so you can see it properly. And here you are, it's done on a 16 count black Ada. Here we go, let's see, you can sort of see what we've done. Let's just do that, there you go. So you can see how much I've done the whole wizard. I've done most of the dragon. There's blending filament in it, so there's a real sparkle to the dragon scales. This is in my earlier days of stitching, so I can already see stitches going the wrong way, but yeah, whatever. And it does look great. It's got a bit of cat hair on it. I've had several cats in between the time I started. I think I should pull this out again. I mean, he's over half done, so that could be a really easy win. Anyway, so there you go. So that's Old Smokey. That's my oldest WIP. I don't think I've got any older than 25 years. I do have a couple in here which I bought as kits at around the same time, but I only started them on a Stitch Mania a couple of years ago, so then I wouldn't class them as my oldest WIPs. All right, so that's the first one. Now the second one I want to show you is one that I started, and this is all kind of quite amusing, but this one is, I'm going to UFO it. I just have to. And the reason being is because it's a wedding sampler for my wedding. And, well, as I've mentioned before, I'm a single mum now. So I'm not really sure I want to finish a wedding sampler. Yeah. Anyway, it's this one. As you can see on the front of, this is from a Cross Stitcher magazine from 2014. And the artwork is by Emma Congdon. I love her work. I really do. And I think this is why I really love this sampler. And I've been looking at it thinking, oh, could I maybe change it so that it talks about love for my children, or, you know, like love for being a strong, independent woman. And I just can't. I just don't think there's any way that I can turn it from being a wedding sampler into anything else. Now, I changed the colours. This is how much I did, because as I mentioned in a previous video, teal is my absolute favourite colour. My whole wedding was white and teal. And so I switched the colours out. I was going to do it all in teals and greys. And I mean, it would have looked great if I'd actually done it at the time. So that was done on a 25 count even weave. It's actually quite a nice little piece of fabric, just white. So I think maybe one afternoon, if I've got nothing to do, I might just frog it so that I can save the fabric, and I might find a different Emma Cogden design to put on there. I probably need something about, you know, strong, independent woman. I can do this. This is fine. So yeah, so that one is probably going to be my very first total UFO, because I'm not going to be having that wedding sampler hanging on my walls. Anyway, let's move on from that, shall we? Okay, so the next one I want to show you is one that I picked up and did some stitches on this week. It's a very old kit, which again I bought around the mid-90s when I sort of first fell in love with cross stitching. It's a platinum collection, Janlin platinum collection, and as you can see, it's quite detailed. It is full coverage. It's not done on black Aida, it's actually done on white Aida, and it's called Shell and Fish Collection. And I always liked it, and I started it at Stitch Mania in 2021. I haven't done a lot. It's done on a 14 count white Aida. I'm not a big fan of 14 count, but the good thing about 14 count, oh, hang on, that's the right way around. There you go. The good thing about 14 count is it's really easy. You don't have to think too hard, and especially when I'm tired and my eyes are tired after a day at work, you can, it's just really easy. Now, the only thing I did when I brought it back out again, so you can see I've done a little bit of a starfish and then a start of a fish here. So when I brought it back out again, I thought, I mean, it's very nice, but it's a bit dull. So I pulled out some sparkly blending filament, and I'm going to add some sparkles to like the bellies of the fish here, so that there's a bit of shine to it. So I just think that'll make it a little bit nicer. So sorry, I've got everything going everywhere. All right. Okay, so that's that one. Now, I honestly, I have a pile. I have two chairs here next to me with piles on it. And to think that this is not all there is. Yeah. Anyway, okay. This is one that I've been working on even during my kind of stitching hiatus. Every now and then I felt like stitching, so I've brought this one out. It's a dimensions kit. It's a fairly common design. I have seen this design in multiple places. I think I've even seen it ripped off on Etsy a couple of times, but it's called Butterfly Profusion, and it is stitched on a 14 count Aida, but it's printed. So the background has this lovely print on it, but the majority of the detail, the stitching, so the leaves here, they're all stitched in a single strand of half cross, and the butterflies naturally 2/1 full cross. Again, we use blending filament through there. I really love how the shading has come out on each of the butterflies. There's a lot of backstitch, and it's typical dimensions backstitch, which is not obvious. It kind of skips over stitches and you can't work out where you've got to put the needle in the hole. And I have to say, I really don't enjoy that kind of backstitch. I actually find it quite stressful because you've got to keep your eye on the chart and work out where you're going. But it's so effective. You know, when you look at the butterfly afterwards, the butterfly before, I didn't take a picture of it before the backstitch. I'll do that with the next butterfly so that you can see just the difference that the backstitch makes. So that's why I tend to backstitch as I go, because I actually don't really like doing backstitch very much, but I think if I can get it out of the way and not leave it to the end, because I have a feeling if I left it all to the end, I just wouldn't do it. Okay, so that one, I've got quite a lot of progress on that one, and I do keep picking up and working on that one because I can sort of see where it's going. So that's a really nice one. All right, now the next one is, I think this is my second oldest WIP. So I think I started it around the same time I started Old Smokey, and this is when I'd first started cross stitch, and I got this lovely book of Carousel horses, and they're called Cappy Originals. There's 6 of them, and at that stage I was like, I'm just going to start at the beginning and stitch them all. Now, so I started with this one on the cover. Now, the first thing you'll notice, just bearing in mind what I said about how I don't really like backstitch, the first thing you'll notice is how much backstitch there is. I had no idea when I first started that. I was like, oh yeah, that'll be okay. Now, these are also, these charts are from back in the day where they were hand drawn. So I think this book was published, this little booklet was published in, I don't know. It doesn't say. It's quite a long time ago. Anyway, the chart is hand drawn. It's not computer generated, which means trying to work out where the backstitch is really hard. Now, I did it on a piece of 14 count Aida, and it's a very soft piece of Aida. I have no idea where I got it from. You can see I haven't centered it very well. Let me put this on my board here, because I think with white on white, you'll be able to see it better. There you go. So again, I've done quite a lot of it, but you can see I've kind of almost given up in despair on the backstitching and around the flowers, because it's just so difficult to see where it's supposed to go. As I said, I've centered it really poorly. The Aida is very soft, so it's not that easy to stitch on. You have to have it really tight in the hoop. I did kit it all up at the time, and it's all in anchor threads. We don't get a lot of anchor here in Australia anymore. I was in Britain. Yeah, I was in Britain when I started this one, so I could get anchor threads. I still have the threads, but I'm going to be in trouble if I run out, because you can get anchor here in Australia, but it's not easy. It's not easy to get them. So, and there's, as you can possibly see, there's a lot of blending filament, a lot in and around all the flowers, and they're all Krynics, and I'm pretty sure I got them all when I kitted this up. I have actually taken stuff out of this, but you know, there's a lot of Krynics. There's a few missing from my kit here. I've obviously over the years, because this is probably a good at least 25 years old as well, I've used them and borrowed them and taken them out, etc. It'd be nice to get that one finished, but I don't think I enjoyed it because it was so complicated. And as an early project, I'd kind of started it at a time where I'd finished another one and I was all excited and I could do this. And I think it was just so complex and the backstitch was so difficult to see that I kind of lost my way with it a little bit. So pity, because I mean, there's some beautiful, you can sort of see on the back here how many of these lovely antique Carousel horses are there. So they are gorgeous, and I'm a big horse fan. I love horses. I think horse is my spirit animal. So that's why I kind of fell in love with that. All right, so let's see if we can go on to, okay, now what I'll do is I'll show you, I've got a few, they are my WIPs now, but I've adopted them. So I don't know whether some of you have also done this, where you've either found projects which have been started by somebody or not finished, or given projects that have been started by somebody but not finished, and then you take them on because you think, oh, it's such a shame to leave those half done. I have 3, which I class as my WIPs, because I have actually put stitches in them, but which actually were started by other people. So the first one is called Wood Splitters by Tom Roberts. Now, this is a very famous Australian painting. You can see, it's lovely. This series, Country Threads, they do some beautiful Australian like images, paintings. I've got quite a few of these Country Threads kits. They're all done as kits. This one is big. It's 40 by 59 centimeters, full coverage. And it was, it's from the Fiona Jude Design Studio. Now, it was started by a lady that I used to teach when I was, sorry, I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. When I was teaching embroidery and knitting, she was elderly. She was probably in her late 70s. Anyway, she said to me, she said, look, I'm never going to finish this. Would you take it on? And I was like, yeah, of course I'll take it on. She's done quite a lot. Let me get my board here so that you can see it. She's gridded it with cotton, which I wouldn't necessarily choose to do. There we go. Oh, that's noisy. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, she's gridded it with cotton. She's done a lot. She was a lovely cross stitcher. Probably still is. It's just I don't teach anymore. So there you go. You can see how far she's got. And of course, all the colour has come out beautifully. I think the bits I've added, so I think she went up to about here. I've added this bit, which means I have touched it. So it is one of my WIPs now. And I think in honour of her, I would like to get it finished because I used to love the ladies that I taught. They were wonderful. So, and yeah, she was a beautiful stitcher. So I'm thinking I'd quite like to get it finished for her sake. So it's got all of the threads. She had them all beautifully bobbinated. The chart, she'd even expanded the chart. So gave me the photocopy of the chart, which she'd blown up as well because she couldn't see it very well. So yeah, so it's all there ready to do. Okay, so another one like that, which I actually bought this one, I think, off eBay. And again, similar situation. Obviously, somebody very ambitious had started it, but hadn't finished it. I mean, who would do that? And so I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that on. So this is a Mystic Stitch, full coverage, obviously. There we go. You can even see she's divided up where the pages are. So to give her an idea, it's called Champagne Dreams by Barbara Feliski. And how many pages of full coverage have we got in this? Obviously, it's paper chart only, obviously. 12 pages. So it's only 12 pages. As full coverage goes, that's probably not too bad. Anyway, let's see how far she got. And I've also put stitches in. So I'd say this one is definitely one of mine. Sorry, it's all in the plastic here at the moment. I'll put this on my board. So it's not huge. I'm a little concerned about the size of her Ada. She hasn't left a huge amount of border, but I'm hoping that there's enough there. So it's not an enormous one, but again, you can see I've done a few stitches in around here. So she'd done all of this. So yeah, so it's now in my WIP pile, even though I hadn't done the majority of it. The only thing I find a bit hard about picking up other people's work is, first of all, do they do their crosses the same way as I do? Because if they don't, that's going to be difficult. Secondly, it's also looking at how they do their crosses. So I remember I picked up one a long time ago, and, you know, no disrespect to the person who did it. I don't know who it was. But the crosses weren't very neat. And I started, and I try and keep my crosses neat, and it was so obvious where they'd done their crosses and then I'd done mine. And I mean, it wasn't a picture that I was particularly fussed about. It was like, yeah, it's nice, but, and eventually I was thinking, this is just going to look weird because you're going to have kind of this section done where you can see that it's been done by somebody else. So I gave up on that one. So, but this one, the crosses are really neat. I put mine in, can't tell the difference. All the crosses go the same way. So yeah, all good. Okay, then the final one I've got where I've adopted, this one I bought at a trading table sale at my local guild. Now it is, let me see if I can find it here under all the boxes. Sorry, bit of music. Here we are. There we go. All right, it is a Dimensions Charts and Charms. There we are. I've always loved this pattern. I've seen it several times before, and that's why I think when I saw it on the trading table at the guild, I was like, oh, I'd love to have that one. Again, lots of backstitch. It's called So Cozy, and when I got it, it's got all the buttons and charms in there as well. It had all the threads. It has, again, it even had a working copy. It had the original chart and a working copy already, and it was even on a frame. And that's how much she'd done. Now, I've done a bit of extra. I've done some more around here from when I got it. About the only thing is, obviously, this has been sitting in her cupboard for quite a long time before she donated it to the guild. You can see the dirty mark along here. The Ada, which is a 16 or 18 count. I think it's an 18 count Ada, is pretty grubby. So, I mean, I didn't take it off the frame. I just thought I'll keep going and then I'll wash it afterwards. I mean, I always wash my cross stitch afterwards. So I'll just, before I put all the charms and buttons on, I'll give it a good wash. I'll try and make sure I can try and get some of the dirt and the grime out. Then I'll put the buttons and charms on. So yeah, so she's made a really good start on it. I've done a little bit myself. Yeah, I'm just looking at the back here. We all do different things on the back. Some people knot. Some people don't knot. I don't knot. This lady clearly does knot. But never mind. That's okay. You know, no judgment. No judgment. If people want to start with a knot, that's fine. I don't care. Anyway, okay, so that's that one. Okay, so one pile is going down here. All right, the next one, this is fairly random pickup one. This one I started for Stitch Mania. That was my big Stitch Mania in 2021, where I started a whole lot of my kits because I just thought, I've got all these beautiful kits and I haven't even put a needle in them, so why not? All right, this one is called Cicadas and Dragonflies, and it's by Margaret Wilson. Cockatoo Designs. It's done on a 14 count dark blue Ada. Now I got this kit, it's kind of a sad story. My best friend from school had a sister who had a lot of difficulties throughout her life, and tragically a couple of years ago she committed suicide. And she used to, my friend's sister used to do a lot of crochet and stitching and cross stitching. And her parents, when they were cleaning her house out, gathered together all of her stitching and cross stitching stuff and then called me and said, because at that stage I was still teaching as well, and said, could you use this? Could you donate this to your groups? And of course I said, absolutely. So I took all of her stuff. I dished out, out to all of my groups. And then I selected some of it, which I wanted to keep for myself, just, in memory. This was one of the kits. There are several others that I've got, but this was one of them. And so that's why I started it. I thought, I should give this a start. Now, it's not huge. You can see it's only a little tiny piece of Ada. So I've started with one of the dragonflies here. So it's a very sweet little project. Yeah, so we'll see how we go with that one. All right, let's drop that down. I've got a big pile down there, which I'll sort out later. I don't know, everything's all mixed up, but it'll be fine. Okay, here's another start from Stitch Mania. I think I need to do another Stitch Mania. I love the fact that I've got all these starts, and I am the serial starter. I don't know whether I said, but there's a group of ladies that I met at a Stitching a Mirabilia retreat a couple of years ago. In 2018, I think I went on the first one, went on another one in 2019, and we all kind of gave each other nicknames, and my nickname was Serial Starter because I'm so good at starting things and so not good at finishing things. So you know, if that's my name, if that's my moniker is Serial Starter, well, I may as well live up to it. So here we go. All right, so the next one, this is another Australian one. It's called Bushflower Babies. Okay. Now, we have a very famous children's book here called Snugglepot and Cuddlepie, which was written in the 1920s and beautifully illustrated by a lady called May Gibbs. And these are the bush babies, these little people. So the whole story of Snugglepot and Cuddlepie, and you can't see it, but I think, yeah, you've got your little gumnut babies on this one. It's not gonna focus. So there's a series of 4 of these bushflower babies, and then there's some wattle babies, gumnut babies, and I can't remember what that flower is, but it's an Australian flower as well. I just love it. It's so cute. And Snugglepot and Cuddlepie was a part of my growing up. I still have my original book where the covers have all fallen off and the pages have all fallen out. So I just love it. I'd love to find, I think these are all out of print now. I'd love to find the other 3. You know, I was in a charity shop the other day and I thought I'd found this one. But it was just basically this cover, and it had a bit of Ada and like a couple of threads, and so somebody had clearly done it, shoved everything back in the bag and then donated it to a charity shop. So I was like, well, never mind. I'll just keep my eye out. Anyway, I've done it on a piece of even weave, white even weave. I think that's a 28 count. I haven't done a lot to start. I'll be honest, I don't even know which way up it goes. Let's have a look at my stitches. That might be upside down. Might be upside down. I don't know. Who knows? But I've made a start on it. So it's only a small start, but 10 stitches is a start, isn't it? So there we go. Okay, so that's that one. Drop that down in my pile. All right. This is going to go on a lot longer than I thought it was going to go on, but that's okay. Okay, so the next one is a start again that I made at Stitch Mania. Now this is one of my oldest kits, so I bought this around the time I kind of got started with stitching. I think I remember finding it on a sale somewhere. I thought it was really cute, so I probably bought it in the mid-90s. And again, it just sat there untouched, and I thought at Stitch Mania, right, I need to pull some of these really old kits out. So it's from the Hometown collection. It's called New Dress. It's 2 cute little mice. And it had, as usual, slightly off-white 14 count Ada. And it's, where am I? Again, I've got to work out which way up it goes. What have I done? I think I've done the sleeve and the arm of the mouse. So I think it goes that way. It's funny when you start these things and you look at it and say, which way up is that? Is that upside down or is that the right way up? Anyway, so there we go. That's what I've done. Okay, so that's just a little start as well. These lovely starts. All right, pop that one away. Just throwing things around here. So, all right. So next one, yet another Stitch Mania start, yet another early kit, which I bought a long time ago. It's a Janlin kit. I don't know if you can see that. It's quite long. There we go. Which I thought was very pretty. It's called Musical Muses. And it's done on a 28 count pink even weave. Quite a lot of backstitch. What is it with me and backstitch? Why do I keep doing all these things with backstitch? I don't like backstitch. Anyway, so yeah, but you know, so I've made a start. You can see it's a very long, thin piece of fabric. There's threads everywhere. I clearly made a start and then just abandoned it. There we go. just a little start at the top. That was a Stitch Mania start. So I think I told you that. And that Stitch Mania, I was like, every other day I had a new start, and you know what I mean. So every second day I had a new start, and every other day I worked on a WIP that I already had in progress. So I think I ended up with 15 new starts for May. So it was quite an ambitious one. Right, okay, next one was a stitch along, I think from 2018. So 2018, I got really excited about mystery stitch alongs. I can show you the first page of it. It's by Ingleside Imaginarium, and this one was called The Guardians of Notre Dame. Now, I may see if I can find a picture on the internet of it finished, because obviously it would come out each month, so we didn't know what it was going to look like. Now, well, we're 5 years down the track, so there's probably pictures of it. So if I can, I'll stick a picture up here. If I can't, that'll just be a blank, and I've got my hand out for no reason whatsoever. But you never know. Anyway, I decided to stitch this. I think I started it on a piece of plain fabric, and then I went off to my stitching retreat, discovered the joys of hand-dyed fabric. So I restarted it on this beautiful piece of hand-dyed 28 count linen. I can't remember who dyed it, but I have a feeling it might have been Karen and Bren, who at that stage weren't Fox. I think they're Fox and Rabbit now. They set up Fox and Rabbit, but they were the ones who had organised the retreat, and I'm pretty sure this is a piece of their hand-dyed fabric. So that's how far I got. Not very good with stitch alongs. I didn't even get the first month done. But what I did do is I did collect all the patterns. So I have got it there. I can actually get on and finish it. Just haven't done it yet. So, and the problem is I started so many stitch alongs. I was so ambitious that I was going to get all these done. Didn't manage to keep up with any of them. So, yeah, that's okay. All right, so that's that one. Now, this is another stitch along that I started. This one I kind of know why I abandoned. It sort of annoyed me a little bit, which is a shame because it is gorgeous. It was called the Flower a Day Stitch Along by Caroline Manning. Caroline Manning Designs. You can see, ooh, there we are. Oh, it's fab. It really is. And you kind of think, oh, I could do a flower a day. That'd be easy. So basically, you know, I don't know how many flowers there are. We got the whole pattern to start with. And I did start it. But as you can see, the floss list was massive. All right, that's that. And let's not show you the chart, but yeah, so there's 2 pages of that. Huge floss list. And of course, yeah, I got all the floss. Then I made a little start. I did it on a piece of 16 count kind of cream Ada. Let's just show you my little start here. There we go. What I've done. But what annoyed me about it is because you're constantly changing colour. You kind of like do 4 stitches and then you change colour, and do another stitch and then you change colour, and you don't really want to drag your threads along the back because it's not full coverage. And I just got annoyed with that, which is funny because I do like full coverage and you're constantly changing colour in full coverage, but there was just something about this that I wasn't sure. And the other thing is I realised afterwards that actually this will be a great project for using up old bits of thread that I've got. I am planning on doing a video at some stage to show you my rat's nest of threads that I have and to ask for some advice on what I'm going to do with these. But this is the kind of project you could use your stash. You don't really need to kit this up exactly. And I probably will pull some of the flosses out to use for other things as well. But will I continue with it? Probably at some point. I don't know. I do like it. I like the finished. I like the finished piece, but yeah, I didn't manage a flower a day. Yeah. Okay, another stitch along. Right, this was in 2017. This was Stitch Rovia, Emma Cogden again. Now, I haven't got a picture of the full thing. I will try and find it and put it up here so that you can see. It's called Quotes to Live By. And then each, I mean, you can sort of see the first one. My printer wasn't very good. You did the border, and then each month we'd get a different quote. And it just then made this lovely kind of inspirational completed picture. I started on a piece of very loosely woven 28 count linen. So yeah, you can see through it quite a lot. I'm not overly thrilled with the linen. That's as much as I got done. Me and my stitch alongs. You know, I think I might restart this on a better piece of linen. I mean, it's nice linen, but because it's so loosely woven, you can see any little bit of trailing thread at the back. And there's a lot of open space in it. It's like typical of Stitch Roviers, lots of little quotes with open space. And I think I haven't gone so far that I would go, oh, I really don't want to restart. I reckon it's one that I could restart. I do have the entire chart. I kept up with, you know, buying each month to make sure I had the whole thing because I really like it and some of the quotes are great. But yeah, I tend to sort of like use a piece of fabric that I've got and get started on it, and then it's like, yeah, I'm not really sure I like that fabric. So, okay, so that was that one. All right, this one is a lavender and lace. It's called, here we are, it's that one, that little one there. Enchanted Alphabet, that one. Very cute. I decided to do it on a piece of pink even weave. I don't know why. Why did I decide to do pink? And you can see I've done an O and I've got a little bit of a person there. Maybe it'll look cute on pink. Not sure. I think it's because I had this huge piece of pink even weave, which you'll probably see in the next WIP Parade, because I've used it for something else as well. And I thought, oh, I'll use that. I don't know. I just don't know about pink. I think certain things work on pink, but not everything works on pink. So anyway. Okay, next one is a gold collection. This is one that everybody will be familiar with because lots of people have stitched it. It's Alan Maleys' Gracious Era. Yeah, gorgeous. Always loved this one. Right from the time I first started stitching. I'm using all of the threads from the kits, and I'm also using the kind of grey blue Ada that came with it. Funny that I don't really like Ada, and yet most of these are on Ada. So it's a bit wrinkled, I'm sorry. As you can see, I started with a chappy there in the middle, and I'm also back stitching as I go because, as I have mentioned on multiple occasions, I don't like doing back stitch, and therefore let's get it out of the way right from the outset. So yeah, you know, I'll get on with that one. I do like the finish of that one. I've seen it many times stitched up, and I probably just need a bit of a motivation to get on with it. Okay, next one. Oh, we're nearly there for today. It's okay, don't worry, we're nearly there. Only got a few more to go. Okay, this is also done on 14 count Ada. What is it with me and 14 count Ada? Me and backstitch, me and 14 count Ada. Who would have thought? Right, this one is called St. Michael's Mount. Have I got a picture? Yes, I do. There we go. It's by Cornish Stitch Designs. I actually bought this in Cornwall when I went down to Cornwall it was the end of 2013. So I remember we went down there for Christmas. My brother had died earlier in the year. So my sister-in-law had come over to England so that we could all spend Christmas together. I remember the Christmas well because I was just newly pregnant with my daughter. I was so sick that while they were all eating Christmas dinner in one half of the house, I literally had to hide up the other side of the house because I couldn't bear the smell of all the cooking because it was going to make me hurl, basically. Anyway, so I remember that Christmas very well. I bought this kit as a memory of that one. It's also hand drawn. The chart is hand drawn. So somebody has actually got a little pen and written all of the symbols on this chart, which is phenomenal, but also incredibly difficult to read. So luckily it's quite large. Well, the chart itself is quite large. The actual design is not. I've not done very much of this. It's almost a bit embarrassing, really. Oh, look at that. Hey, that's not very good, is it? Anyway, it's a piece of sky blue 14 count Ada. There you are. All right, so we might remember that one. Do that one at another stage. Okay. Right, another WIP. Now, this one is on a 16 count Ada, still Ada, but that's the problem. Most of these kits have Ada in them, and so I just kind of open the kit and get started. This one is Olga Gostin's Australian Heritage Architecture Collection, and I actually have the entire collection. I think there's 6 or 8 in the collection. I have them all. And she also did a series, or there is also a series from this particular, I think it's the same designer, of other kind of Australian scenes. I think there are 4 of them. I have all 4 of them as well. I will one day do a bit of a kit parade if you want to sit through it. It would take a while, but maybe it might be a good idea, because this actually helps me to see what I've got, because they all sit in boxes and drawers and whatever. And bear in mind, this is 30 years of collecting, so you know this is a long time. And it might just help me sort of go, yeah, I think I'll do that one, or no, maybe I'll put that on a stash busting group and get rid of it. So anyway, so this one is called Victorian Freestanding House. Okay, so it's obviously a typical architecture, I think, from Melbourne, I think. I don't know. I don't live in Melbourne. This way. Right, sorry, I've just got to make sure it's not upside down. There we go. So I've done quite a bit on that. There is, again, quite a bit of backstitch. Enough said about that. Did I start the backstitch? I thought I'd started the backstitch. Clearly I haven't. There you go, who knew? I was convinced I'd actually started the backstitch on that, unless some evil fairy has come in and taken it all out again. I've clearly misremembered. So yeah, so I did start that one quite a long time ago. That's I don't know how long, but it's probably 20 years, maybe slightly less, who knows. Okay, 2 more to go in this WIP parade, and then we'll worry about the next WIP parade next time. So okay, this one is called, let's get it open, the Waterlily Pond, and it is a reproduction of, oh no, I haven't got the chart, I haven't got the picture. Meh. Okay, can't show you the chart. I'll put a picture up here. So it's a reproduction of the Monet painting. It was, again, donated to me by a student who was given to her, and she'd never done counted cross stitch before, and she opened it up and it was a piece of, wait for it, a 14 count white Ada there. And she just looked at it and went, how am I supposed to stitch when the Ada's blank? She just could not get her head around stitching on blank Ada. She's just like, it's not even printed on there. Anyway, so I was like, that's okay. You know, this is how most counted cross stitch is. It's fine. She was an embroiderer, a hand embroiderer, so she'd never done it before. Anyway, she was like, I can't do this. I can't. It is full coverage. And there's quite a bit of confetti in it. You can see how much I've started there. It's not big. It's very pretty though. So again, for her sake, I'd like to get that finished. I did use it. I started this because I wanted to have a bit of a play with, you know, some parking and different methods. But because it's on 14 count Ada, I just find it's just easier to do cross country. I don't know why. It's probably because the squares are so big and so, you know, easy to see, that I tried a few things and then went, nah, if I'm going to practice doing parking or diagonals or whatever, I'm going to do it on a, you know, a full, you know, 21/1, 25 or 28 count heaven and earth design or something. So, but yeah, that one's a pretty one. Okay, the last one I have in my pile here. Yes, this is it. I was just thinking, did I have any more? But no, I think that's it for today. Last one I have in my pile here is, it was a stitch along. It was called, it was by Lakeside Needlecraft, and it was called Milady's Sweet Greenhouse Stitch Along. That was the border. That was part one with the border. And then each month we had a different flower which went in the border. So that's lavender, loyal lavender. So that's what they all look like. I did this on a really pretty piece of Cafe au Lait even weave, 36 count even weave by Lakeside Needlecraft. That actually was the one that they recommended. I've done a reasonable amount, not a lot, considering it was a stitch along. I, needless to say, didn't stitch along. Yeah, there we go. So I've started with the lavender, I started with the border. I have a feeling I might have had to unpick quite a bit of border because I miscounted and then redo. So that's why there's this gap, because I think I made some mistakes. So, but it's a pretty one. And it should be an easy win because, you know, once you get the border in, as long as you count correctly, yeah, I can see where I've started taking threads out because I did not count correctly. Maybe I should have gridded it. Maybe I was too ambitious. Anyway, moving on. Right, so that's it. That's my whips for today. There are more whips to come. I can see I've already done nearly over 45 minutes worth of videoing here. So I think maybe I'll have a sip of coffee. I'll say thank you if you've stuck around for this long. There will be another WIP Parade to come. And at some stage, I will start to be able to tell you about progress because I am stitching. I'm trying to do 10 stitches a day. I'm diamond painting, so I'm doing a few things. It's, again, as I've said before, it's not easy. I'm, as well as working full-time and being a single mum and also trying to be a reasonably successful ultra runner, I'm also studying at university as well, just in case I didn't have enough to do. I've got a bit of a semester sort of break at the moment because there's a lot going on in life and, you know, obviously. But come next semester, I'm back into the swing of it. So it does mean my stitching time is limited, but, you know, 10 stitches a day, I think is a good goal. So, okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please leave a comment and let me know what you think of any of my works in progress. And I will see you next time. So happy crafting. See ya. Bye.